Good morning.
Welcome to our day.
Welcome to our day.
We're just a head.
I'm 3 heads.
You're Fluffy
Yeah.
from Harry Potter.
No.
Oh,
Because I'm a unicorn.
cow.
And 3 unicorns. And 2 rainbow unicorns. And I'm okay with it.
You're a cow with a horn.
I'm not. You mean a bull?
Bulls don't have horns. Not like one single horn in the centre of their head.
No. But you said I'm a cow with a horn. Which is a bull.
Help. And if anybody wants to know, they're from B&M. £10. Oh. So, we have to apologise about yesterday's vlog. We got home. I think it was... I got upstairs and got my ass on the bed at 3 minutes past midnight because I was really pissed because the receipts that I had for all the money-saving apps that I've got, which I will put at the end of the vlog, and I'll put all the little codes for you to start in this vlog. If you want to start that. Saves us money. Well, it's actually made us money. I think we've made about £70 since last August, so they're really good. But literally just gone midnight, got up to bed, and we were all set to have a drink and stay up like we usually do. And I messaged Soph and I said, I think I'm just going to have to go straight to bed. I was just getting all my nebs done, so Soph brought up the meds, and literally we climbed in the bed and both of us fell asleep straight away.
It's been so exhausting.
It's been mega. Yeah, mega exhausting. It's
today we've been pretty much just like
sleeping and chilling.
Yeah.
It's been a lot, like physically and emotionally, like exhausting.
Yeah. And then don't know about you, but I think for me, I've been kind of like, I think the adrenaline and the knowing I've got to drive and stuff, and probably the coffee, has been sort of like keeping me awake and like with it more so. Whereas like as soon as we've come home, it's like when you're out and about and you need a wee, and then as soon as you drive into your street, you're like, yep, I'm going right now. And it's exactly like that, but with tiredness and like exhaustion, and now I'm just that, ugh. Yeah,
and with me, obviously, I didn't sleep Saturday and Sunday when we had Zach to look after. So, and I'm not sleeping well on the night times anyway. And
are you looking at the fish looking at you?
No, there was a red flashing light in the middle of the field.
Oh, that's a completely different direction.
Look. Hang on, look. Hang on. It's gone a minute. It comes up every now and again.
Which direction? More towards that side?
Straight through. I can see it straight through the closed window. Wait for it.
Is it a big light?
You will see it when it happens. It opens twice. There you go. Happens twice and then stops. Don't normally see red lights, and we don't normally see them there.
It's not moving, is it?
No. So I'm hoping there's not something happened with a vehicle in the field, because the main road does run along that bit. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, it is.
Because literally where we're looking, it's just fields, and then there's the main road that runs just before it.
I think it's a car. Or I think it might be something to do with the roads, because that was white then.
Yeah. Very bizarre.
Yeah, it's really weird though, because it was like, initially it was like really pale red, like really not very vibrant, and then all of a sudden it would be like really vibrant. Twice.
Kind of like, you know, a lighthouse when it goes around and it gets brighter and lighter. It was doing that, but red.
All I can think is that maybe there's like
they could be plowing, not plowing, harvesting the, like they could be, because they cut a field last night and made it into bales.
might be moving stuff like that.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't sleep all weekend. Mum, I mean, we got to sleep about 1, 2-ish each day, and I woke up between 5:30 and 7 each morning that we were there. And yeah, it really exhausted us, so we just figured it's only one time without doing the vlog. It'll be fine, and I'm sure you guys would like understand because of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
But an update on my stepdad is that he's still intubated. So he's been intubated, I think we're on day 6 now.
Yeah.
And he's been in hospital 8 days. The medication that helps with his condition has stopped today. It was his last day today. It's a 5-day course. Tomorrow they're going to try to extubate him, so that's taking the breathing tube out.
They were planning on originally doing it today, but with the medications finishing today, they didn't want to.
They finished quite late.
Meds. Yeah, they didn't want to finish the meds and take him off of the ventilation too quickly together.
Yeah, and like he had physio as well come yesterday. The physio yesterday had him on the side of the bed, and he was standing up and he was shuffling up the bed and things like that. And he had to have people holding his head. Today the physios came and he was doing squats. Bearing in mind he's still intubated, so he's still got a breathing tube and he's being ventilated, and he's on the side of his bed doing bloody squats. Like, it's just insane. So I think tomorrow they're going to be doing a break with physio, like the stamina stuff with the squats and standing up, and they're going to take the breathing tube out, see if his neck muscles don't collapse, and if they don't collapse, all perfect. They'll even pull the NG tube out, which is the feeding tube from his nose. If it does collapse, then they'll just be doing a tracheostomy straight away. They'll have like all the kit next to his bed and they'll just do it there. And if you don't know, tracheostomy is like the bit where they put a hole here and have a breathing tube go through this way. Which Mum and my stepdad have spoke with the consultants. I think when did they do that? Saturday, Sunday? Sometime at the weekend.
Yeah, it was sometime when we were up there. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, they discussed then that if he couldn't like breathe on his own without the breathing tube in his mouth, then would they be okay with the plan of moving forward to do a tracheostomy? And they've all agreed that they're happy with that. The next stage after, if he needs the tracheostomy, he's then going to also need the last resort therapy as well, which we think is plasmapheresis, which is when they take your blood out, clean it, wash it, get rid of like all the antibodies, and then they give you your blood back. I looked after 3 patients when I worked at Bristol Children's Hospital who had that done with them because they had some illness. But the annoying thing with that is they can't do it at the hospital that they're at now, which it really baffles me because I know that it's a treatment that is easy enough. And
you said it's a trauma centre, didn't
you?
So you'd think that they would have something like that if it's a trauma
yeah,
centre.
It's the South West Trauma Centre. It's the next one because there's Bristol, then there's Western Hospital, and then there's the hospital that he's at, Musgrove, and that's the trauma centre for that whole area. And then it goes down and it's got all the little hospitals, and then there's Darriford, which is the hospital I go to, and that's the trauma centre for us. So for them to have a trauma centre and not have this treatment is really bizarre. So if he needs the tracheostomy, then they're going to have to move forward to the next stage of the treatment, because obviously the treatment that he's been on for 5 days clearly hasn't worked. And with that, he'll have to go up to Southmead Hospital, which is the far side of Bristol, which Mum's not coping with the thought of that, because if he has to go there, it's about 60-70 miles one way. And at the moment, he's 4 miles away from Mum. So Mum's going there in the morning, comes back, has dinner, goes back in the afternoon, comes back, has tea, then goes back in the evening. If he goes to Southmead, Mum can't visit him at all, because the driving is just too much. It's pretty similar to Soph and I coming from here going to Mum's. It's just a few miles short. Sorry, Alba. Just a few miles short of that. And we couldn't do it every day. We couldn't go there in the morning, come back, and then do that every morning. No, it's just not possible. No. And Mum, she's sick herself, and she won't be able to cope with it either. So she got really upset, and she thought that she was being selfish by saying that she couldn't cope with him being there and didn't want him being there because of not being able to visit. Not because she didn't want him to have the treatment, but because he'll have no family visiting him. But obviously we just tried to reassure her that she's not being selfish. She's trying to think of the welfare of herself and his welfare, because you need your family.
Exactly. She's thinking of, like, the aspect of someone who loves him and, like, that sort of aspect of his health, and not just, like, the immediate physical health sort of situation. She's thinking of the other stuff as well.
Other than when he got diagnosed with this illness, which I'll put a link, the words here again, because I can't say it. It's too many letters that all jammed together, and it's just hard to say. But up until he got diagnosed with that, the last time he was in hospital as a patient was when he was a baby and he had croup. Bearing in mind he's like nearly 60 now. So to not be in hospital, to then suddenly being in intensive care on a ventilator, for him to be, I mean, he's not coping now, he's struggling emotionally now. For him to then be shipped off 70 miles, that's going to be even more difficult for him. So Mum's obviously trying to think of emotional welfare of them both then as well. But Mum spoke to his consultant today, and he just tried to reassure that is the last resort. But that last resort could happen sooner rather than later, if when they pull the tube out tomorrow, if he needs a track to go in. But obviously we just have to wait and see. He's doing good for the position that he's in, and he has got some muscle strength back, but it's not fully back. And that's the thing, we don't know if it is going to recover. He's also got to see cardiology. He's got to have I can't remember what it's called, but basically the initials is TOE, and they put a camera down your throat.
It was TOW.
No, TOE. Because I chuckled because it said toe.
Yeah.
They put a camera down, or a scanner, and they scan the heart from the esophagus. I've never heard of it. No. He's got to have that done, and hopefully cardiology will now start to try and fix the issues that happened with the heart from the dehydration and the muscle weakness, because initially they didn't want to touch him because the fact that he was ventilated and he was quite poorly. So they're going to do that scan, and hopefully they'll find results that they might be able to now help with, but we don't know until obviously the scan's done. So it's kind of still in a position where he's quite critical, but
it's kind of
he's stable.
It's one of those bittersweet moments. It's bitter because it's sweet because he's potentially like well enough to come off of the ventilation, but then it's bitter because we don't know how he's going to react to that kind of thing. So when we were there, we printed off photos of the family and the dog. Mum forgot the dog, but we think that's more my sister's fault because she was being a wanker. Let's put it bluntly.
And he's got them all up in his room. We did manage to go visit him on Sunday. I think you was only in there about 5 minutes.
If that. I wasn't in there very long at all.
No. And you said that you struggled with seeing.
I think because he's... Oh God, I feel emotional. Because he's always been this really tall, like over 6 foot tall, like reasonably strong sort of like man who's like nothing can bring him down kind of thing. And he was just led there in the bed, and he just looked tiny, didn't he? And he was just like, it was difficult.
He grabbed our hands and like gave us a squeeze of things, because obviously you can't talk because of the tube in your mouth, and you could see that he just wanted to cry, but he was like trying to hold it in and things. I said to you, didn't I, that when I went in there, I just went blank. Like, I had all of these things, like the fact that we gave Mazel a nice brush, and all of these sorts of things that I was just like, he would appreciate to know that, because it's the kind of everyday stuff that you want to know in that sort of situation. I'm guessing it's not been in that situation, but I just went in there and I was just completely blank, wasn't I? I think I started to panic a little bit, so I was just like, So she just like went out and swapped, because you can only have 2 people in at a time, because they're small bays. So Soph went out, Mum came in, and I stayed in there. I think it was about 20 minutes, and then I came out and we just stayed in the relatives' room then, so that Mum could have some time on her own with them. But obviously it's difficult. I knew that he was in the same bed space that I was in on either my second or third admission. So I was able to like kind of prepare Soph by saying, this is what it looks like, this is what the ICU looks like when you go into it and stuff. I drew it out for her. But it's one thing just talking about it to going in and seeing somebody in that position.
I mean, I've seen people ventilated and stuff before, because obviously I've been in ICU and Charlie's been in there, so I have seen it, but it's not like
a relative,
a loved one. And I think I'm an extremely emotional person, aren't I? Like, my emotions just come out, whereas like with you, like, you're probably feeling all of the things I'm feeling, but with you it just sort of stays in. Whereas with me, like, I'm trying really hard not to cry, like, right now, because I know it's not going to help anyone, but, like...
Yeah, because Soph's not seen me ventilated. I've been ventilated for my asthma. Soph's only seen me with the big NIV masks on.
I've seen you with a tube that goes to the back of your throat.
Nasal pharyngeal airway. So they shoved it. I'll put a picture in of what it looks like.
You had one in your mouth when you went unresponsive.
That was the first time I went unresponsive.
Yeah, it didn't go all the way down. It wasn't like a breathing tube, but it was like I think it was like a guide tube sort of thing.
I'll try and put pictures of each one that we're talking about.
Yeah,
one was down there. And I had another one that was like the one here, but it was, I say smaller, they're not that much bloody smaller, and it goes in your nose just to keep your airway open. So she's seen those tubes, and she's seen the big NIV masks. They're like scuba diving masks. They're horrible, but obviously I've not needed to be ventilated since I've been with Soph.
No.
Just plenty of intensive care trips with all these other little things. So yeah, it is a bit different when you see somebody that's a relative or a friend or whatever in that position. But yeah, hopefully tomorrow he can be extubated fine and they won't need to do a tracheostomy, but at least there's a plan as well for if they need to. The fish tank just took off.
Didn't it? It's just like, what's going on?
You might actually hear that in the background. It sounds like dripping water. It's not. It's the fish tank we got in the corner of the bedroom. It's just really nice and relaxing. So yeah, that's why we didn't vlog. Well, we didn't upload yesterday's vlog. It's all going to be at the beginning of this vlog for the 2 days.
Might be quite a long vlog in which we would apologise, but there's a lot to let you guys know. So.
And yeah, there was lots of processing. Just needed to chill out. I mean, I even stayed asleep until 9 o'clock this morning. That's a long time for me. That's not normal.
No. I didn't want to wake up, did I?
No. But I wanted my meds because I've had this continual migraine. It's damping down now, but it has like peaks where it's just so bad. I went through 5 injections since Friday, which is not good. So that's been a bit crap too. But otherwise, generally okay. The girls went out today and we played with the frisbee, which they loved. When Alba went out for a wee just a second ago, she came back with a tick in her. So we had to pull that out. When I pulled it out, it was dead. So we're thinking that the medicine that they get the flea and worm in and tick prevention. So Sophie made a good point that it might have bit her and was in her, but obviously it's got the drugs in her to kill them and prevent illness.
I'm not 100% sure if that's how it works, but I know that with fleas, that's how the treatments generally work.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I can think, because otherwise, how would it have gotten onto her and like attached to her, but not like, but then have died? That's the only thing I can think of. Because
it wasn't. There was no blood in it. It was just. There was a small amount of blood, but it wasn't fat and juicy.
No, so it's like, that's gross. But yes, it's like it had taken some blood from her and then just died. So it makes sense that might have been the case.
Yeah, and obviously I was fussing her tummy, I think it was about 6-7 o'clock this evening, and there was nothing there. So by that point of seeing her tonight when we go to do her wipes, it would have been huge, and it wasn't. And when I pulled it out, it was... it wasn't even moving. All the legs were curled in and everything. But don't worry, we didn't just pull it. We've got the special thing.
Special tool.
Because when we first moved in here, the garden was so overgrown and horrible that both girls were getting so many ticks.
Yeah, at one point our Bob came in and she had 3 on her face and we didn't know what it was, did we, first of all?
No, I thought it was like those sticky balls.
Yeah.
So I went like that to get them off, and it was only afterwards that we then realised it was 3 bloody ticks on our face. But thankfully, this one has been the first one in nearly 3 years. Yeah. So let's hope it's not a pattern. But yeah. That's kind of our roundup for the last 48 hours. Whoop, whoop. And now I'm going to go take my meds. Drink my milk. And thanks for coming on a day with us. So I'll see you tomorrow.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.